Start the class. All right, so today we'll be looking at functioning ecosystem. But before we do that, let's recap a little of what we did in our last class. You know, in our last class, we started genetics, and for some reasons, we are going to stop there and later we'll continue with genetics. But let's do a little bit of recap of what we did in our last class before we go to our topic for today. So in our last class, we talked about nucleic acid, and we said that nucleic acid, is it a micromolecule or a macromolecule? Macromolecules, right? And we said we have how many types of nucleic acid? Two types. What and what? DNA and RNA. And we said, what's the full meaning of DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. Why RNA is what? All right. And we said, since nucleic acid is a macromolecule, that the building block of nucleic acid is what? So what? Nucleotides. Nucleotides. And we said nucleotides are composed of how many things? Three things. What, and what? Nitrogenous bases in that environment interacting together. Do you understand? So, this board, is it a living thing or a non-living thing? Am I a living thing or a non-living thing? If I stone you. Alright, so a living component interacting with a non-living component consists of what? The ecosystem, right? Now, we said we divide the ecosystem into two. Biotic components and the what? Abiotic components. And you agree with me that bio is talking about what? Life, right? So if we add the prefix "a" before the bio, it means what? Non, right? Non-living. So when we talk about the biotic components, we are looking at the living components of the environment. Is it not? Good. Now, the biotic components, if it is a living component of the environment, can you mention one biotic component of the environment? Plants. What else? Animals. What else? What? Microbes and the rest, so long as they have life. All right. So now, the biotic components can be divided into autotrophs level, consumer 1, grasshoppers. The third trophic level, consumer 2, lizard. Fourth trophic level, consumer 3. Fifth trophic level, consumer 4. Now look at how it flows. From grass to grasshopper to lizard to snake to hawk. Now looking at this, snake is occupying what trophic level? The what? Fourth trophic level, right? So you can see, if you're given a food chain and you're asked to identify the trophic level, just count from the producer down. Do you get that? Grass is always occupying the lowest trophic level. All right, so we've said two things now. Trophic level, the position. Then food chain, the linear feeding relationship. Is it not? Is it only grasshopper that can feed on grass? No. It's not, right? What else can feed on grass? Cow. What else? Rabbit. Many things can feed on this. But we are just taking one, just a linear relationship. If we now start to look at the complex relationship, complex feeding relationship, is that still food chain? It's no longer food chain, but what? Food web. Thank you very much. So let's move to food web very quickly. You are not done writing. Please write fast. Write fast. All right. Food web. A food web consists of a food web. A food web A food web consists of several food chains. A food web consists of several food chains. Full stop. It is a complex feeding relationship. It is a complex feeding relationship. It is a complex feeding relationship between organisms. It is a complex feeding relationship between organisms. Then you draw this. All right, I'll give you time to draw. I'll give you time to draw. Please listen up for now. Just stop writing and listen up. We are looking at food chain and food web. We've seen food chain, right? As what? Linear feeding relationship. Now, food web is a complex feeding relationship between organisms in an ecosystem. Now, if you look at this very well, let me check this demarcation. Let me call here A, B, and C. Okay. And D. Now, among A, B, C, and D, where do we have the producers? A, right? Because this is the grain plants, is it not? The producers. So here we have the producers. And you agree with me that insects can feed on grain plants, right? Snails can feed on grain plants too. Worms can feed mice, rats can feed on grain plants, is it not? So all these ones that feed directly on the producer, they are called what? They are called what? Primary what? Primary consumers. Primary consumers. I'll give you questions on the past question. Immediately I'm done with this. Primary consumers. Now if you look at this, toads can feed on insects, right? Toads can also feed on worms. Birds can feed on snails. Lizards can feed on insects. As you can see, the structure itself is complex, right? That's why it's a complex feeding relationship between organisms. Now, these ones that feed on the primary consumers are called the what? secondary consumers. So all these ones too that are feeding on this one, something can also feed on them. This one now, the oga patapata of them all now, this one falls under the what? Tertiary consumers. How you can see question here, they can give you something like this and they'll ask you, snake falls under dash. Is it primary consumer, secondary consumer, producer? You just check, is it eating the plant directly? If it is eating the plant directly, then it is a what? Primary what? Consumer, right? If it is eating something that is eating the plant, then it is what? If it is eating something that is eating something that is eating the plant, it is what? What of the one that feeds on tertiary consumer? So hawk, how many of you have seen hawk before? Hawk that used to fly everywhere. How many of you have been in the village and something wants to carry fowl? That's small chick. Okay, so what is that? You call it eagle. Is that eagle? You call in your language. What do you call it in your language? Egwe. Consign you. All right, so that's hawk, right? Can something feed on hawk? Yes. What? This one's a vulture. Humans. Eagle. Anything that feed on the tertiary consumer, what do you call it? Quaternary consumer, right? Good. Alright, you don't answer one today. Alright, so that's that. Write this down and we'll move on. Please, let's draw fast. Let's draw fast. So move to the next thing. Say? Snake eats. So what type of what? Please, are we done with this? Listen up, listen up. Right. After this, a food chain is different from a food web. A food chain is different from a food web in that it shows only one possible feeding pathway. A food chain is different from a food web in that it shows only one possible feeding pathway. In that it shows only one possible feeding pathway through which energy or food flows in an ecosystem. A food chain is different from a food web in that it shows only one possible feeding pathway through which energy or food flows in an ecosystem. Write this subheading and drop your pen. Pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of numbers. Or take the notes at once. Pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of numbers. This refers to the number of individual organisms. Pyramid of numbers. Can I clean this now? Pyramid of numbers. This refers to the number of individual organisms at each trophic level of a food chain. This refers to the number of individual organisms at each trophic level of a food chain. This refers to the number of individual organisms at each trophic level of a food chain. Please, I want to clean this. I'm giving you 30 seconds for this, please. Joe first. But do we understand this? But remember that the position of an organism in a food chain is what? The position of an organism in a food chain is what? Trophic level, right? Trophic level. Is it not? Yes. All right. This thing will not, if I was the one writing this thing, it will not take me 30 seconds now. Write fast. Are you done? Even divine is true. All right. So, for divine to be true, it means everybody is true. Is it everybody is true or everybody are true? What's the right thing? For those of you that missed the English live stream on Sunday, I don't know why, but this Sunday by 4 o'clock too, we'll be having that. All right, so pyramid of what? You said pyramid of numbers. This refers to the number of individual organisms at each trophic level of a food chain. Then you draw this. All right, so draw this. Draw this. Be fast about that. Today we are covering like 3 topics. This class is just 4 hours class. So before 9 we'll be done. Before 9 o'clock we'll be done. There is fun. A fan is touching you, it's not. Say data. And I don't get. All right, now listen up. Let's try to be fast. Now, pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of numbers. We said pyramid of numbers, we are talking about the number of organisms in each trophic level, right? Is it not? Remember that trophic level is the position of an organism in a food chain. Still the one we use grass. Okay, now insects, lizard, snake, hawk. Now if you look at this, we know this is the first trophic level, right? Second, third, fourth, fifth. Among producers and consumers, which one have better chances of survival? Among producers and consumers, which one have better chances of survival? Which one have better chances of survival? Okay, let's be practical. Among all these ones, which one have better chances of survival? Hawk, right? Who is hunting hawk? Hawk is like the boss now, but grass will just be there. Lizard will come, insects will come, sheep will come, this one will come. So consumers have better chances of survival, right? Good. Now, when we talk about pyramid of numbers, we are looking at the total number of organisms in each trophic level. Now, among grass and hawk, which one is numerous comparatively? Grass, right? If you check the pyramid of numbers, this is a pyramid. The one at the base of the pyramid, as you can see, is getting big as it's going down, right? Smaller as it's going up. Now, the one at the base is a green plant because we have several hundreds of. Please, somebody should go down. So if you step out, you see a field there. Scan the number of grasses there. Then come back. You see that you count hundreds, right? You'll be there till tomorrow because the green plants are numerous, so several hundreds. So they occupy the base of the pyramid. This typical exam question. Because if you take green plants here, you are telling us that the green plants are small in number, is it not? But here, as you can see, it's large. So green plants are high number. Then the insects, we have few hundreds. Lizard, about 100. Snakes, about 20. Hawk, lonely at the top. I have about 4 of them here. So you can see the most important thing here is not the number here, because this one we are using an estimated number. But pyramid of number, we are looking at the estimated number of organisms in one trophic level, in each trophic level, right? And you know the one that have the highest number of organisms. What trophic level? Is it the first, second, third, or which one have the highest number of organisms? The first trophic level, right? Remember, this is the first trophic level, green plants, and that's where we have the highest number. The lowest trophic level is what? The lowest trophic level is what? The lowest trophic level is what? Is the primary, is the producer. The lowest trophic level now, this is the highest trophic level now. This is the first trophic level, second, third, fourth, fifth. So this is the lowest trophic level. And this one have the most organism, right? Do you understand? So pyramid of number, we are talking about the number of individual organisms in each trophic level. Do you understand that? Do you understand? Which one have the highest organism? Which trophic level? Which the one in the top of the pyramid have the lowest organism, right? While the one at the bottom, which is the green plants, have the highest. Do you understand that? Do you understand? All right. Pyramid of energy, subheading. Pyramid of energy. Pyramid of energy. Pyramid of energy. This illustrates the transfer of energy. This illustrates the transfer of energy through various levels of an ecosystem. This illustrates the transfer of energy through various levels of an ecosystem. After this, check your past question. There is no question you cannot answer so long as this topic is concerned, except you are not in this class. All right. Draw that. Then let me explain. We're almost done with this topic. Let me see. So I'll be asking you and you answer. Are we ready? Okay, so let me explain this before we take this past question. We'll take just few of them. As you can see, from just looking at it like this, you can already see things we've done. Just looking at it like this, this past, the energy is reducing, is it not? Do you understand? So the producers have the highest energy. So among pyramid of numbers, pyramid of energy, you've still seen that producers have the highest, right? Highest number, highest energy. Good. Let's take some past questions. Can I clean this? If you know the answer, just raise up your hand. If you know the answer, just raise up your hand. They say use the diagram below to answer questions 16 and 17. Use the diagram below to answer questions 16 and 17. I will draw what they do there. All right. Now listen to the question. You don't need to write it. They say use this diagram to answer questions 16 and 17. Now question 16. Which level of the pyramid, if you know it, raise up your hand. Which level of the pyramid the least total stored energy? If you know the answer, raise up your hand. Least total stored energy. A says E, B says F, C says G, D says H. So if you know the answer, raise up your hand. If you know the answer. Are you raising up your hand or you're not raising up your hand? Are you raising up your hand? Sister? Seeing you. Your life. And you're sleeping in my class. Yes, so what's the answer? H. Is H correct? H is correct, right? Because this one, which one have the highest here? R, right? They are the producers. Next to this. So they have the least stored energy, right? Let's see 17. Do we all know why the answer is H? Let's see 17. Which organism in the pyramid functions as a tertiary consumer? If you know it, raise up tertiary consumer. If you know it. All right, hands down. If you don't know it, raise up your hand. So that I will not point to. If you don't know it, raise up your hand. All right, so the answer is what? Tertiary consumer. This one is what? Producer. This one. Primary consumer. Secondary consumer. Tertiary consumer. See. So this is food. Where do you think this food chain can occur? Is it terrestrial or aquatic? Aquatic, right? Aquatic habitat. So this can take place in aquatic habitats. Another question, let me read it out. At which trophic level would the highest accumulation of a non-biodegradable substance occur? I read it again. At which level would the highest accumulation of a non-biodegradable substance occur? A. Primary producers. B. Tertiary consumers. C. Primary consumers. D. Secondary consumers. So what's the answer and what are your reasons? Question says at what trophic level would the highest accumulation of a non-biodegradable substance? What is non-biodegradable? Microorganisms cannot break them down, right? So at what trophic level do we have that highest? Tertiary consumer. Why? Nothing can eat the hawk. Seriously? You think it's what? The option says primary consumer,